Hey, wellness warriors. Do you ever feel like a total fraud or a fake? Like any day now, everyone's going to figure out that you have no idea what you're talking about or what you're doing? Or ever wonder or sort of question, like, why should they listen to me? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you may be suffering from imposter syndrome. But have no worries, because I've got you covered. Hi, I'm Laura Albers. I am the Clear Your Plate coach, a mental health therapist, a master certified wellness coach with the International Association of Wellness Professionals, and owner of Albers Mind and Body Wellness. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about some common signs or symptoms or ways that imposter syndrome plays out, as well as 3 ways to begin to shed your imposter syndrome so that you can instead start to build your confidence and feel really great getting out there in the world and sharing your gifts and talents. And you can finally start to sort of shed that constant sort of self doubt and self consciousness that you may be plagued with right now. All right, so let's talk about some common symptoms of imposter syndrome. The first one I'm going to share with you is that you worry that you won't live up to expectations. So it may be your own expectations, it may be the expectations of others, or it might be both. The second one is that you minimize your own success, your own skills, your own knowledge, your own abilities, or maybe you attribute those things to outside forces, whether that's other people, or maybe you attribute it more to luck or to chance. Another way this might play out is you might be afraid to ask for a raise at work because you fear that you don't deserve it. Or honestly, more commonly with that, it's that we actually fear more that other people won't think we deserve it. So it's more about we fear kind of what other people think. Also, it can be that we go above and beyond with our tasks, our responsibilities, with how much we take on, because essentially we're sort of overcompensating. We're doing everything we can, we're going overboard to make it least likely that people will think or finally figure out that we're a fraud. And another way this can play out is that we may feel plagued by self doubt. We might be constantly sort of questioning ourselves, questioning our abilities, sort of that, like, why should somebody listen to me? I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. Those kinds of self doubt or those kinds of self conscious thoughts that we might have. And lastly, another way that it can play out is through this fear of failure. And so we may often, with imposter syndrome, we often fear failure because what we fear actually is that people are going to find out that we're a fraud. And again, we're trying to do everything we can to sort of hide that fear or that fact. We feel like in our heads it's a fact. And so we're doing everything that we can to sort of hide that and keep that safe and protected and tucked way down under. All right, so now that we've sort of talked about common ways that imposter syndrome plays out, let's talk about 3 ways that you can begin to shed your imposter syndrome so that you can instead feel more confident. You can instead experience more success and more visibility and more self-worth. Doesn't that sound pretty good? All right, so let's get to it. Tip number 1 is to break the silence. And I'm going to start this one with a quote. Nothing breeds silence like shame. Oh, I have that backwards. Nothing breeds shame like silence. Let's put it that way. And so often there's shame involved with imposter syndrome. Again, we're trying to do everything that we can to keep people from figuring out that we're a fraud. And that often feels very shameful. And so it keeps us really from sort of fessing up or truly connecting with other people because again we're trying so hard to be perfect and to make sure that other people see us as these perfect experts all the time. And when you start to shed that, it can be incredibly freeing. And it also helps to know that you're not alone with it. I know so many business women that I follow or podcasts I've listened to. I hear the hosts and honestly, Oprah is a prime example. I've heard her say before, I feel like a fraud at times. And if Oprah can say that, or another person I've heard say that is Amy Porterfield. I mean, she's amazing. And yet at times she too has these feelings of, oh, I kind of feel like a fraud or a fake. And so if these incredible, amazing, successful women feel that way, then again, it helps us to feel not alone. And if they can sort of share that and talk about it with their millions of followers, then maybe it's okay for us to share that, with a trusted individual or with our Facebook followers or our Instagram followers or our YouTube subscribers. And it won't mean the end of the world or the end of our career or the end of our success. So we too can be authentic with what we're really feeling, and that's going to help us connect to everyone in a way that really trying to always be perfect just doesn't allow. All right, tip number 2 is to delete the word failure from your vocabulary. So with imposter syndrome, we often, again, we have this fear of failure, and it really holds us back and prevents us from getting out there and having the success and the visibility or the confidence or the connection with others that we truly desire. But if we can instead begin to look at failure as not failure, I personally love to use the word learning, then we can give ourselves the space and the permission and the compassion and the grace to keep getting out there and keep sharing our gifts with the world. Henry Ford once said that failure is only the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So instead of beating yourself up just for being human, we want to do what professional athletes do and other really successful people do, which is they're always learning, they're always practicing. They don't take themselves so seriously as we often may, and expecting everything to be perfect. They learn from their quote perceived mistakes. They're always learning and they're always growing. So it's important to have sort of that growth mindset. And tip number 3, the last tip I'm going to share today, is flip the script. So you may be operating under these sort of limiting beliefs of I can never ask for help, or I must have all the answers, or any day now they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. And the thing about those beliefs is, again, they are very limiting, they're not helpful, and quite frankly, they're not true. And so instead, we can start to assert our own rights. We have the right to ask for help, right? We have the right to have an off day. We have a right to not always have all the answers because no one does. It's impossible to always have all the answers. And so we can flip that script and instead say things that are much more helpful, like, I may not have all the answers, but I'm smart enough to figure them out. Or, of course, I don't have all the answers, but I can figure them out, or I can find them out. And it's also important to remind ourselves that anytime we're doing something new, of course we're going to be feeling, probably anxious or uncertain. We're going to need more help, or we're going to need more time to find the answers because we're not going to know all the answers. So it's giving ourselves the grace and the permission and the time and space to allow ourselves the time to learn, the time to gain the skills, the time to practice. And so the language or the script that we use around that is really important. And so it's really what allows you to focus more on learning. And so you're not focused so much on having to be perfect all the time. All right, so I hope these 3 skills, really begin to help you to shed your imposter syndrome and get you out of that judgment zone so that you can instead really focus more on the value and the service that you provide others and the ways that you're helping others in the world. After all, in the words of Marie Forleo, the world needs that special gift that only you have. All right, thanks for watching. And for more tips on self-care and to really boost your mood and lower your stress, sign up for my free 7-day self-care challenge via email by going to alberswellness.com. And if you loved this video or learned something from it or had some takeaways, I would love for you to comment below. I'd also love for you to share this video with anyone in your life that you feel like might be suffering from imposter syndrome. They may not be getting out there in the world and really sharing their amazing gifts and talents because they're so busy sort of judging themselves or living in fear of what others think about them. And so I would love for you to share this video with anyone in your life that you think might benefit. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.